There is some significantly cool stuff in these Space Marine detachments. I actually spent a decent amount of time watching some of the other creators' opinions on it. I gotta be honest with you, I disagree with a lot of them. These detachments are relevant and they're going to give you really, really cool and interesting ways and good ways to play Warhammer 40,000. Now, there are some things that I'm going to agree with some people on, but there's some things that I'm going to take a left turn from what a lot of the other creators are, because I believe I just think about the game differently than some other people, and so let's get on into it. First things first, the Bastion Task Force. This is the detachment where battle line units are getting a finally front row to the game. They're getting the front row seats. They're excited. They're ready to show off what they got. And on initial review of reading this detachment, a lot of people are going to think, this kind of sucks. But then we're going to think about it again through a different lens. And we're going to see some really, really incredible and exciting things in this detachment that we can do with a multitude of different Space Marines chapters. So first things first, the rule interlocking tactics. Adeptus Astartes battle line units, and just so everybody knows, a battle line unit is going to be a intercessor, a heavy intercessor, a assault intercessor, and I think tactical marines. Yeah, it'll be your tactical marines as well. So that's what we have as far as battle line are standard. Now, certain detachments, as we will see, Space Wolves, Black Templars, Death Watch, are also going to have additional battle line units, and naturally, they're also going to be the ones that you're going to be wanting to play in this detachment. So we'll get to it. So all of your battle line units, though, and this would apply to characters that are leading the battle line units, of course, because it applies to the unit, not the model, are going to be eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which they advance or fall back. This means they get 100% freedom of movement. This is an unbelievably powerful buff. This is an extremely strong mechanic. Most people are going to have, 1 CP stratagems that only give you advance and charge, or only give you fallback, shoot, and charge. Your just detachment rule is all of your battle line units are going to have this ability right off the bat, and it gets a lot better from there. You're also able to start to perform an action when you advance or fall back. This is also very, very fascinating. So now, each time your Adeptus Astartes battle line units from your army is selected to attack, after resolving those attacks, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks, and they become Auspex scanned. So basically, you shoot a unit, they're Auspex scanned. Now the rest of your army gets to reroll hit rolls of 1. What does this mean? It means that this detachment is going to be something that I like to call oath agnostic. This is a very, very big deal because Space Marines actually have a multitude of ways in which to give +1 to hit out to their units, but you're still kind of stuck with your 1 oath of moment target. So let me kind of show this to you guys. You could have, incursors, which can shoot and give +1 to wound to the rest of the Space Marines army. You could have a Tech Marine, which gives a Vindicator +1 to hit, so now it's hitting on 2s. And then a battle line unit maybe shoots a target first. Now that Vindicator gets to reroll hit rolls of 1. You're getting a 100% hit rate on basically everything in your army. A 100% hit rate on basically everything in your army. This is very, very powerful and it's very, very strong. I actually think a lot of other people are kind of underselling how big a deal it is to have your entire army just has a 100% hit rate. That matters. It's relevant. All right, now let's look at some of these. And then when we look at it, I'm going to go ahead and give you like the 3 armies that really, 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 really love this detachment. Your Black Templars adore this because they've got those Crusader blobs. And those Crusader blobs are now, their battle line, right? And since they're battle line, that is going to give you a ton of options. And we're going to go through some of those options, especially when we start combining some of these enhancements and some of these stratagems with just how hard hitting your Black Templars are actually going to be with this new detachment. It's very, very exciting. And then you've got your Space Wolves, and your Space Wolves are going to be having the ability to take your Blood Claw. I believe it's Blood Claws. Just pardon me for 2 seconds as I just make sure that's true. It is their Blood Claws and their Grey Hunters, which is also very, very interesting. These units are now getting natively advance and charge and fallback, shoot and charge, and that makes them much, much more powerful. And then lastly, the one that a lot of people are sleeping on is Death Watch. I think Death Watch loves this detachment. Granted, a lot of times Death Watch doesn't necessarily need reroll 1s to hit. Yes, that's true. But what Death Watch does need is they need the ability to have freedom of movement, because Death Watch has 2 different battle line options. They've got your Death Watch Veterans and your Kill Team Decimus. You can take 6 5-man Kill Team Decimus and then 6 of your Death Watch Veterans, all which have those super Thunder Hammers, that can now all advance shoot and charge and fallback shoot and charge. You don't have to spend the 115-ish point tax to have the lead character lead them to give them that ability. That is a huge buff to Deathwatch. So you're getting a lot of freedom of movement in all three of these detachments, and it is very, very exciting. Now, I probably wouldn't really be looking at this detachment outside of those three, with one last exception. Iron freaking Hands. If you're running Iron Hands, you take Iron Father Pharaohs. Now, Iron Father Pharaohs is giving OC3 to those heavy intercessors. Those heavy intercessors are battle line. Now, those heavy intercessors are also giving off these buffs. Those heavy intercessors become much faster with their advanced shoot, fallback shoot, all of these things. It becomes very, very interesting when we start running this in Iron Hands as well. So I lied. So I'm going to give you 4 options that I think are really, really going to want to look at this detachment. We're going to go Iron Hands, we're going to go Black Templars, which I think Black Templars like it the most. We're going to go Space Wolves, and we're going to go Death Watch. All 4 of those armies love this detachment, and you need to treat it seriously. Now let's look at some of these enhancements here. These enhancements are also very interesting. Eye of the Primarch. Ranged weapons equipped by the bearer and battle line models in the bearer's unit have the precision keyword. Now, a lot of people don't really like precision. I think precision on ranged weapons is exceptionally more powerful than precision on melee weapons. Now, I have the ability to come from reserves or coming down from deep strike or whatever, and then I can just delete the Technomancer that's leading the wraiths in the shooting phase. This means that when I do charge those wraiths with my melee units, now suddenly they do not have the 5-up Feel No Pain. Whereas if I had charged them in the fight phase, precisioned out the Technomancer, they're going to retain the 5-up Feel No Pain for the rest of that unit's activation. But now I can kill him in the shooting phase and then charge in. They lose the 5-up Feel No Pain. It's a big deal. So you can get rid of character buffs in the shooting phase. I find this much more important than getting rid of these abilities in the fight phase. So I do find this to be a very relevant and interesting enhancement. Now, hero of the chapter. While the bearer is leading a unit, the bearer has the battle line keyword. This is also very, very powerful. It's going to enable quite a few different things. So, for example, if we're running Deathwatch, I can put this on, I don't know, a chaplain or an ancient who's leading a squad of Deathwatch Terminators. Now, suddenly those Deathwatch Terminators are going to have the ability to be all like, oh, look, after we get on the board, now we can advance and shoot, fall back and shoot, fall back in action. You get all of the benefit of all those things. That's actually very, very strong. If you're running like a 10-man, you could even do like a double lead. You could do an ancient and a captain for the battle line, and then you could give the ancient the enhancement to get, which is the next one, Blades of Valor, to give them +1 AP and melee. Think of a 10-man squad of Terminators, probably Deathwatch Terminators. I probably wouldn't do that in some of the other detachments, although I might, especially in Iron Hands if I was running Canik Var with some Terminators and an ancient, because that gets very, very interesting. You can get them all +1 AP. That gets very, very disgusting very, very quickly. If we're playing our, what do we call it? Our Black Templars, now suddenly we can be giving a big brick of Crusaders +1 AP and melee. So suddenly you're going to have like 70 freaking chainsword attacks. They're all going to be lethal hits with AP 2 with +1 to wound because they're Black Templars and rerolling hit rolls of 1 due to the detachment rule of the Aspect Scan. So there are a lot of crazy damage combinations that these enhancements and these abilities actually allow you to pull off. So don't sleep on them. So yeah, I love the Blades of Valor, +1 AP to melee weapons equipped by battle line models. That's really strong. It's quite useful. Then we look at the Bombast Omnivox. Adeptus Astartes model only. Each time you select the bearer's unit as target for stratagem, roll a d6, adding 1 of their battle line. On a 4-up, you gain 1 CP. It's decent. I don't think I would probably take it, but it's decent. Fair play. All right, now let's read some of these stratagems. Notably, none of these 3 detachments that we're going over are going to have the Armor Contempt, but they don't really necessarily need it. I think Armor Contempt is a lot of times a bit of a crutch, even though I love Armor Contempt. I'm not saying it's a bad stratagem. It's a great stratagem. I just think it's a little bit of a crutch at times. So I think with some of the increased utility of the other stratagems, these attachments work just fine. And let me talk through why I think that. Codex Discipline. Your shooting phase or the fight phase, meaning it's flexible. It's a stratagem that can be used in multiple different places. It just gives you reroll hit rolls of 1. Or if they've already been Aspect Scanned, which in any of these detachments we've spoken about, they should have already been Aspect Scanned, you get to reroll wound rolls of 1. Rerolling, sorry about that. Oh man, sorry, I hit the microphone. Sorry for your ears. Rerolling wound rolls of 1 is incredibly powerful on a large variety of units, especially if you're shooting someone with, say, like a Vindicator. it can dramatically increase your damage output, seeing as a Vindicator, especially when you stack Oath of Moment with it, is going to be at +1 to wound. So they're going to be wounding basically everything on 2s. Now you're rerolling wound rolls of 1, and you're hitting on 2s due to the various buffs that we discussed earlier, rerolling hit rolls of 1. That's 100% hit and wound rate that you can make happen with stratagems such as this. So I really, really like it because you can use this. It's completely unrestricted on any Adeptus Astartes unit. Very, very solid. And then we're going to look at Shock Bombardment. Your shooting phase or the fight phase just after an Adeptus Astartes battle line unit from your army has finished making its attacks. Put it on that battle line unit. They become suppressed, which means that now that unit is going to have to subtract 1 from their hit roll. It doesn't hurt my feelings to see a unit that I know I just can't deal with this turn, and I'm just going to shoot 1 bolt pistol at them or 1 bolter at them, and then suddenly we're going to decrease their efficiency by 27-ish% based off of what their ballistic skill is. Let's say we're shooting into, we're playing against Chaos Knights. Well, suddenly now that big freaking Crusader, or I'm sorry, Gatman is hitting on 4s instead of 3s. That's actually a fairly dramatic difference in the damage output that some of these units can actually give. So don't sleep on this. I watched some of the other creators who talked about it and said that this was this kind of a stupid strat. They're wrong. It's not a stupid strat. It's a good strat. It's a useful strat. It might not be a strat that you use every single turn, but it is a strat that is absolutely useful. All right, then we're going to look at Guided Disruption. Your shooting phase or the fight phase just after a battle line unit from your army has finished making its attacks. Now this one is a little bit niche, but I can pretty much promise you that if you're playing against any of the plethora of elite infantry armies that you are going to be seeing, you're going to be seeing them. They're going to be -2 to move and -2 to charge. This is great against Dust Shroud, great against Victrix, great against, the new freaking Necrons army that is going to be nothing but, Scorpex that are running at you. This is great against Dark Angels. This is really, really good against Blood Angels. This is really good against World Eaters. So there is a lot of utility for this stratagem, especially when you know that you just don't have the ability to efficiently deal with the unit that you're going to try to really be shooting. And most of the time, remember, your battle line units aren't the units that are going to be murdering things outside of things like Death Watch, Black Templars, these things that we've spoken about. Okay. Angel's Defiance. Your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. This applies to any of your battle line units, which will include the one unit that you have a character with the enhancement turning his battle line unit into a battle line unit. There's -1 to be wounded if strength is over toughness. This is an amazing enhancement. It's super, super powerful. It's great. Or I'm sorry, stratagem. It's super, super strong. It's a big increase in durability, especially if you're using on things like, Death Watch Terminators who happen to have, 4 wounds each for the storm shields, and now they're -1 to be wounded. It's very, very useful. Light of Vengeance. Your shooting or the fight phase, you get either lethal hits or sustained hits. That's great. Now, you only get it if the army's been Auspex scanned or if you are battle line, but that's extremely easy to make happen. Lethal and sustained on demand in both the shooting and the fight phase is a very flexible stratagem. That's great. Awesome stratagem. And then lastly, we have Heresy Undone. And this is going to be giving you the ability to give, you can shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which you advanced or fall back. Okay, great. This can be really, really useful for like that Redemptor Dreadnought that you wanted to add in, or that freaking Vindicator tank that you want to add in, or the whatever. It's just very good movement ability. So what this detachment does great is it gives incredible mobility. Incredible mobility to already, which generally a lot of people might not care about because that incredible mobility goes to some of the weaker data sheets in the army. But when we apply it to Space Wolves, when we apply it to our Death Watch, when we apply it to our Black Templars, and even to our Iron Hands builds, this gets gross. Because remember, especially with that Iron Hands build, mind you, I can run 10 Terminators with both Canic Var and an Ancient and Terminator armor. That Ancient and Terminator armor can take the enhancement that gives me battle line. So now that big 10-man squad of Terminators becomes battle line. Canic Var gives that squad sustained hits or lethal hits depending on the target you're going into. Now I'm going to spend 1 CP to give them the other one. So they'll always have both sustained and lethal hits whenever they're activating, and it can be very powerful. There's a lot of really interesting combos in there. Those are my 4 armies that I really think that you guys should build with. And those are my reasons why. So have at it. Now, the next detachment is admittedly more cute. I don't actually expect this one to be seen very competitively, although I guarantee you there is a combo somewhere, and I've been racking my brain for it. There is a combo in here that is going to be brutal. This is going to be your Orbital Assault Force. This detachment is going to allow you to pick just 3 of your units, and they get Deep Strike, which is actually on its face quite good because you can do things like now suddenly your eradicators have deep strike. Now I can just rapid ingrace my eradicators, move them within melter range, and delete anything in the game. Or I can just deep strike them down and delete most vehicles in the game. So there are a lot of abilities that you can use this for. There are a lot of units that you can use this on that can be very, very relevant. I can rapid ingress a freaking Land Raider Redeemer. So this gets you the ability to use some of the units that become very, very challenging to use based off of the layouts that you're playing because you can give anything deep strike. The only restriction it has is on Titanic. So unfortunately, we can't, deep strike our Astraeus, but alas, pour one out for your homies. That's fine. So there is a second part to this as well. You get 3 deep strikes, just 3 units that don't have deep strike, you give them deep strike. And then when they do come in, when any Adeptus Astartes model arrives from the battle or arrives on the battlefield, it doesn't even have to arrive from reserves. It just has to be set up on the battlefield. That means it could be disembarking. It means it could be coming in from reserves. You get to natively just reroll wound rolls of 1. Rerolling wound rolls of 1 is very powerful. Very, very powerful. Now take that same Land Raider Redeemer, you deep strike it in, it shoots with 2d6 flamers. If you're, any detachment that gives Super Oath, you get +1 to wound on it, and now you also get to reroll the wound rolls of 1. It's actually very strong. If it disembarks from a drop pod this turn, you also get to reroll hit rolls of 1. The drop pod thing is silly and dumb. You're not going to take drop pods. Now, let's go ahead and look at the enhancements here. We have the Laurels of Thunder, which is reroll charge rolls made for the Bears unit in a turn in which it was set up on the battlefield. This sucks. It's a bad enhancement. Sorry. One use oath. I do agree with the other content creators about that one. Veterans of the Vanguard. Adeptus Astartes model only. Models in the Bears unit have Scouts 6. Scout 6 is a very strong rule that can be utilized by a lot of units. I like it. Orbital Uplink Reliquary is 3 redeploys. It is whatever. And then we have the dedicated gunship, which is an once per game uppy downy on Terminator models, which I don't hate. It will allow them to proc their reroll wound rolls of 1 and stuff once again per the game. I don't hate it, but it's also not really all that great. Now, suppression, strafing, these stratagems, I'm going to go through these pretty quick because this, like I said, this is a little bit of a lower powered detachment, although I think there's going to be a combo somewhere. Command phase, select one enemy unit visible within 18 inches of your unit. You make them take a battle check at -1, and if they fail, they're also -1 to be hit. This is an amazing stratagem, and there's a reason they put a restriction. You can't use this stratagem more than once per battle round because it's in the command phase, meaning you can use it in yours or your opponent's. This is incredibly powerful for flipping objectives, which, remember, this game is won based off of who stands on objectives better. So this is an incredibly powerful enhancement, or stratagem, forgive me. Very, very powerful. Stratagem number 2, Autosense Coordination, your shooting or fight phase. Any Adeptus Astartes unit, you get lethal hits or sustained hits. The only restriction on that is that you either had to come from a drop pod, which you never will, or while targeting an enemy unit within 12 inches, which is very easy to achieve in many, many scenarios. All melee scenarios, and most deep strike scenarios as well. Tactical Decapitation, your shooting or fight phase. End of the phase, weapons equipped by models in your unit have precision. What did we say in the last attachment? I love precision on ranged weaponry, even though I definitely think it's not necessarily the biggest deal in melee. Outside of certain areas, if you're like multi-charging, things like this, it's much more effective off shooting. So the fact that I can use this in the shooting phase is interesting. I do like it. Blind Screen. You get to use it on any Adeptus Astartes unit, excluding Titanic units, and one friendly Adeptus Astartes smoke vehicle or drop pod within 9 inches of it. So effectively, it gives you smoke on 2 units. It gives you -1 to be hit, and it gives you the benefit of cover. It's like, I mean, it's cool, but it's a little weird because you're not generally taking a lot of smoke vehicles. Although in this detachment, I'm probably taking a freaking Land Raider Redeemer who's going to be deep striking in. So when I put it that way, it's like, well, giving 2 units -1 to be hit is actually relevant. Then we look at Shock Onslaught, which is only in the fight phase. It gives you a 6-inch pylon consolidation, which I think that is an incredible stratagem. It's a little bit weird the way it goes in this detachment, but it's a good stratagem, but it's definitely not very synergistic with the detachment. And then lastly, we have Onward for the Emperor. I hate the timing of the stratagem because I love the stratagem. I think it would be a very, very strong stratagem for Space Marines, but it's at the timing is all wrong because you can only use it at the end of your opponent's fight phase. So at the end of your opponent's fight phase, you just take 1 Adeptus Astartes unit that was not set up on the battlefield this turn and 1 friendly transport it is able to embark within. If you're holding within 6 inches of the transport, you can embark within it. This is, unfortunately, they were trying to stop this detachment from being overpowered by letting you use it in your turn. They should have just let you use it in your turn because this detachment is not overpowered. So that's the word. So Orbital has some really interesting things. You could do things where it's like you can deep strike in multiple squads of Stern Guard, give them all sustained hits, and then use your reroll wound rolls and things. But like honestly, I think this one's going to be a little bit more challenging to use than the others. I doubt I'll see this one competitively. I'm almost 100% certain we will see Bastion used competitively, especially with those 4 detachments that we were talking about. Now, lastly, we have the strongest one that they gave, the one that pisses me off because I really, really would like to run this in whatever Space Marines army I want, but of course it's only the Ultramarines. All right, I'm going to get a little salty about that one. I'm done with the saltiness. This is a very cool detachment. A lot of people are underselling how strong this detachment is. Let me break it down for you. Each time an Adeptus Astartes model from your army makes a melee attack that targets a unit within range of an objective marker, improve the AP of that attack by 1. Super, super relevant, super, super powerful. And then each time an attack targets an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army, if your unit is within range of an objective marker that you controlled at the start of the phase, then you get to subtract 1 from the wound roll if the strength is higher than your toughness. Very, very powerful. This is a dramatic increase in durability and a dramatic increase in kill ability. Now, unfortunately, this only applies to Ultramarines. So when we look at this, plus 1 AP, what is that really applying to? It's applying to Victrix, but the one that everyone's missing, which is much better than Victrix in my opinion in this detachment, is Blade Guard Veterans. So Blade Guard Veterans are base 4 attacks, strength 5, AP 2, damage 2. Your Victrix are 5 attacks, AP 2, damage 2, AP 2, strength 5, AP 2, damage 2. But your Blade Guard Veterans are 50 points cheaper. They also have an invulnerable save with their 3 wounds, whereas Victrix don't. So Victrix are, now that Victrix have gone to 3 wounds, they're at the mercy of Excrins. They're at the mercy of freaking Fortrines. They're at the mercy of Predator Destructors. Your freaking, what do we call your Blade Guard Veterans, while they're at the same mercy, they have an invulnerable save, which is very important for the durability of these units. And it's 50 points cheaper than Victrix. I can run 18 Blade Guard Vets, all now with AP 3 strength 5 damage 2 weapons and -1 to be wounded with a 4-up invulnerable save for 150 points cheaper than if I was doing that with Victrix. So that is a very relevant extra unit in the army. I love this on Blade Guard Veterans. Victrix Honor Guard also love this, don't get me wrong, but I think if you're really looking at it, there's a lot of value in running those with Blade Guard Veterans. You probably wouldn't run 18, to be honest with you. You're probably going to run 6, and then you're probably going to run 6 to 9 Victrix in here, but it's very, very strong. Quickly, we'll go through these enhancements, and then we'll talk about stratagems, and I'll give you my final assessment of it. Adeptus Astartes model only. Models in the bearer's unit have a 5-up invulnerable. You'll probably never take it. Avenging Avatar Aura. In the battle shock step of your opponent's command phase, if an enemy unit is below its starting strength within 9 inches of the bearer, the enemy must take a battle shock test. This is great on like a captain or even a justiciar who's leading your Blade Guard Vets, or a captain leading Victrix, because you can just kind of guarantee that something's gonna have to take a battle shock test, which is really good. Scroll of Proclamation. Adeptus Astartes model only. Each time the bearer's unit declares a charge, if 1 or more targets are within a range of objective marker, you get to reroll charge roll. There's a little tiny hoop to jump through, but effectively you just get reroll charge rolls with this. This is a reasonably decent enhancement. Liberatum model only. Adeptus Astartes model. Each time the bearer makes an attack that targets an enemy unit, if the target is within range of an objective marker, you can reroll the hit roll and reroll the wound roll. Since I'm already taking Blade Guard Veterans in this, I know I'm going to be leading that squad with a Justiciar for that sweet, sweet fights first. This gets me a AP 3 full rerolls to wound, fishing for those devastating wounds Justiciar. I like it. I like the enhancement. It's not critical, but it's awesome. It is nice and it's quite good. You could also put this on a Smash captain who's using his finest hour. All right. Crusading Conquerors, end of the command phase. 1 Adeptus Astartes unit from your army. Add 1 to the OC characteristic of models in your unit. Holy crap. Super, super powerful. Incredible stratagem. I've got a similar one in my Dark Angels Wrath of the Rock list, which is nowhere near as good as this. This is just great. There's no limitations on it. Incredibly powerful stratagem. Remember, this game is won on victory points. If your opponent can't score because you're just like, screw it, I'll get bonus AP, I'll get bonus OC, and then I'll get a bonus OC again. It's very, very powerful. Scions of Guilliman. Your movement phase just after an Adeptus Astartes unit ends a fallback maneuver. Until the end of the turn, you're eligible to shoot and declare a charge. Freedom of movement. This rocks. Very, very good. Furious Dedication. Your charge phase or the fight phase. One Adeptus Astartes unit that has not been declared a charge or been selected to fight this phase until the end of the turn. So you're pretty much always just going to use this in the charge phase if you're trying to turn, or you'll just use it in the fight phase if you haven't charged. Add 2 to the charge roll and add 1 to the attacks. This is awesome. This is very, very powerful. There is a restriction saying you can't use it more than once per turn, which is a very, very good restriction. This is a super, super powerful stratagem. Imagine using this on a unit of Victrix Honor Guard who have not popped their banner. Suddenly, every model in the unit goes up to 7 attacks with +2 to charge. Damn, is this good. This is so good. It's so strong. It also will allow you to do things like, you need a 7 on the dice from reserve freaking charges, which is a very, very powerful thing to do from reserves, because you just come, 6-inch reserves, or I'm sorry, 6 inches off the battlefield edge, 9 inches away from your opponent, +2 to charge. Now you only need a 7, not a 9. That takes with a reroll, that takes your chances of making that charge from like a 47% chance to like a 79-ish% chance. I think it's very, very profound. Then we have Ultramarine Destiny, your movement phase. Select 1 objective marker you control that is within range of the objective marker, blah, blah, blah. You get sticky objectives. It's fine. Fight to the end, 1 CP, fight on death, and then marching ever on is going to be your movement phase after your opponent falls back. You get to do a normal move of up to D6 + 1. Normal moves are great. You can use these to re-embark inside transports, to fall back behind terrain. These things are very valuable, very, very useful. This detachment is extremely good. This detachment is going to be close to Gladius power. I'm not going to say it's going to beat Gladius. Gladius is probably still slightly edging, but based off of the build you make, this detachment rocks. If I could run this detachment in my Dark Angels, oh my gosh, it would be one of the filthiest things ever. The only thing holding this detachment back is that it's exclusively to Ultramarines. If I could run it with some of the other types of Space Marines, this would be one of the strongest detachments in the game. This is very, very powerful. So, in recap, Bastion is awesome, especially for those 4 armies that I talked about. We're talking about your Iron Hands, your Death Watch, your Black Templars especially, and then your Space Wolves really like Bastion. Orbital Assault Force is going to have some cute interactions. That's going to be hard to pull off. I believe there is going to be a combo in there. There is going to be a build that someone's going to come up with, which is going to be pretty brutal, because there are good things in that detachment, but it's going to be harder to figure that one out. And then this new Ultramarines detachment, which was, I forgot the name of it already, Reclamation Force, is quite good, but it's not going to be, people aren't going to see it. They're going to think it's not good. They're all wrong. This is a very, very good detachment that you can absolutely go win GTs with. So with that, I'm going to take off. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have an amazing freaking day. Crap on. Bye-bye.